Hi everyone, Mark from Audio Pursuit. And in this episode, I want to give you some background about myself as a reviewer, where I started, my philosophies on music, and also on equipment, measurements, those sorts of things. But we'll keep it short. Now, first of all, my story as a reviewer started in 2006, actually late 2005. Um, Jeff Dorgay at Tone Audio was ramping up to start his magazine, and somehow or other I saw a call, probably it was on Audio Karma or something, that said, hey, he's looking for reviewers. So I sent him an email and said, well, I had done a little writing for an online uh, Macintosh magazine, but he said, no, I'm looking for people with more experience. But hey, and I'll never forget what he said, the internet's a big place. And I took that to heart. So what I did was I communicated to some people that I saw that had done some reviews on the various forums of their gear. And I thought, something, I'm going to contact them. And sure enough, some of them replied with a yes, that they would like to be involved. So at first, we wrote about our own gear, first couple of issues. And then from there, we managed to actually get manufacturers to send us equipment. Now, I also worked with Echo Audio in Portland, Oregon. They were just about a half hour drive away, and in a few cases, they allowed me to take home gear on the days they were closed, a few pieces anyway, to help get me traction. And I did quick reviews on those pieces. So it kind of started off, but the interesting thing was we got traction. Why? Because we were looking after affordable gear. The big magazines were not doing that. They were covering, multi-thousand-dollar pieces of equipment. And we said, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of us don't have that budget, yet, we crave being audio fanatics, and we're fascinated with the sound and want to do the best we can do based upon our budgets. So we really rang a bell. And over the year, that first year, we produced an issue every single month, and we continue to do so through about mid 2012. And interestingly enough, some of those people became pretty good reviewers and went on to bigger and better things. Many of you who are YouTube audiophile people know about Sean from Zero Fidelity. Sean Fowler got his start with this. Matter of fact, at one point, he actually was in Portland visiting family, and me and him got together for an afternoon. We went around the various audio shops. So actually got to meet him in person. John Hoffman was another one who kind of jumped in, and you may know John now. He's a very good reviewer for Positive Feedback. So it's been a good go around. We've also had one other person whose name escapes me, unfortunately, who's done really well. Got it going. I was very dedicated to doing an issue each month. Uh, we had a pretty good subscriber base, several thousand people, I think. So, I'm very pleased with what we accomplished there. Well, in 2010, I had kept up correspondence with Jeff Dorgay at Tone because he lived about 45 minutes away. And on a couple of occasions, he was really kind enough to invite me up to his place, to the Tone studio, and hear just some of the most amazing gear in the world. I can remember the first time I heard Burmeister, and it just set me back. I was in total awe. And as time went on, in 2010, he asked me to join his review team. And so while I was still in the background putting together the issues of affordable audio, I let other people take the lead as far as doing the writing. And I just assembled the magazine using a very simple Apple Pages program, which I'm very grateful for because I had no great skill with Adobe. I wasn't going to try and do that. And so things moved on. And with Jeff's tutorage, I learned so much about, the journeyman level, the next level, as he liked to call it. and really just thrived. And I was able to write for him till about 2018 when my wife and I decided to move and finish my teaching career, teaching high school kids out in the middle of nowhere of Oregon. And since the real benefit of me was being close to Jeff, it didn't make sense anymore. I will admit that my writing style was pretty pedestrian. I mean, I was no great wordsmith, but Jeff was kind enough to allow me the opportunity. And I am forever grateful to Jeff for that, because what I heard over time was phenomenal. Not just in his studio, but the gear I got to experience and review for him in my own music room, you know, family room, living room, and then finally in a dedicated space. It was just a great opportunity. So once I moved out here in 2018 with my wife, the first year I really focused on my teaching craft, especially from having 24 years doing middle school. I was now also teaching high school. So I really spent the year working hard. In early 2019, the itch came back. I wanted to start reviewing again. I missed it. Just the listening to new gear, I kind of started drooling over some of the componentry that was coming out again. And so I decided to start a blog. Pretty simple at first. I still had a few connections in the industry, so they were sending me some pieces. So I did some review pieces, not a tremendous amount. But as I went on, I found that I'm still enjoying it. And then, early in the winter of 22, so last November, December, all of a sudden I'm looking on YouTube, and at the time I was looking for stuff to teach a class. I started noticing all these video reviews for equipment. And I thought, whoa, how did I miss this? This is where it's going. I need to get on board if I'm going to really be re-engaged. People are now watching videos. They're not reading as much of the reviews. They want to watch them. Why? Because they want to see the reviewer and they want to see the equipment and they feel a better connection. At least that's what I assumed. So I started filming the first couple, a little bit rough. I was learning how to properly edit, get the sound right, lighting right, and so forth. And I'm still working on that. But, I was gaining traction again. And I thought, this is where I want to be. So now I'm doing these reviews. I hope to ramp it up even more so. I'll probably still do some written reviews, but mostly it's going to be video. Now, for measurements. I don't do measurements. I don't have the desire to sit there and hook up a bunch of microphones and so forth and do that. It's just not my thing. But I do want to make this point. I am a firm believer that measurements matter very, very significantly. I mean, without them, the pieces don't get built. Let's not kid ourselves. It isn't just done by ear. There is so much done with measurements. Now, yes, with speaker companies, in the end, many of them do the ear test. And then they go back and say, okay, I need to tweak. But still, it starts with the measurements and the understanding of the engineering of electricity and current and electronics. So I would tell everybody, when you are reading reviews or watching reviews and so forth, granted, there's some of us are strictly subjective like myself, but I also encourage you to find those outlets, whether they be video or written, that have done measurements, and read everybody. Then make a decision whether this is a piece you want to follow up on and go here for yourself. Thirdly, the music. My philosophy is that in the end, it's how much you get lost in the music that matters. You know, yeah, the equipment looks beautiful, you know, yes, but in the end, does it touch you emotionally? I mean, that does that Conrad Johnson tube amplifier, does that richness warm your soul? Does that, turntable, does it really not only create nostalgia, but also allow you to hear some things that have been compressed, let's say, in the digital format? Does it stretch that out? And as we all know, the loudness wars are real, and sadly, they still exist. And so there's that part of it. But in the end, do you get lost in the music? And if you do, that's a great sign for that piece of equipment with you, especially if it happens to you multiple times while you're auditioning it. Now, one of my things about music is I believe in listening to rock, country, jazz, and the classical. Now, I may not always mention all of them, but I listen to all those genres. I'm not a hip hop person, I'm not a rap person. So I push those aside. Sorry, that's just my thing. But those other areas, I try to listen over weeks to get my opinion in so that I've dialed it into place and I know through multiple listening sessions that, yeah, uh, these are the strengths and these are the weaknesses of a particular component or speaker. Now, for the equipment itself, I'm big on making sure that it is well built, that it feels well. Those knobs, they have a consistent feeling as you turn them, or if they click, the notches are smooth. Do the buttons go in smoothly and pop out smoothly? Are the screws put in place tightly? Those are things that are important. And just as important, and this is really huge for me, is if you turn, let's say, the preamplifier or amplifier around to the backside and you plug in an interconnect, is there any give? That's huge to me. There are some companies that don't take the time to put in extra screws, and basically it starts giving, and sooner or later it's going to break. So I am big on making sure that the construction and the ergonomics are really good, that there's something to them. That on a speaker, when they do the veneer wrap, that's amazing how they do that these days. That it is smooth on the corners, that they got the veneer right to the edge so that there isn't a big gap. Do the drivers sit properly flush, or are they kind of cockeyed because they didn't make a smooth cut on it when they're creating the ledge that the driver edge sits on, that rim? Okay, so those are just critical parts to everything. So that's what it's about. I want to let you know that I've got some more pieces in, and I'm going to be doing some more reviews. They're going to be coming soon here, so hang in there. But in the meantime, go pick a great album, sit back, and just enjoy the music. Take care now.